Good morning and hello again. Sorry I haven't made a video in quite some time. I have been prioritizing other things like getting a job. If you haven't noticed, I made a second channel called From Classroom to Career, talking about my job hunting journey that's still very much ongoing. So I've been putting a little bit more emphasis on that at the moment, but I absolutely have a lot of other things that I'm interested in and opinions, and today's video is kind of spontaneous. I just wanted to talk a little bit about something I've been thinking about, which is the movie The Drama. I just recently saw it last week and I had some thoughts, so I'm gonna just quickly cover some of these thoughts I had. It's like 3 pages of thoughts. Let me just not look like this for a second and come back. Yeah. Okay, hopefully I look a little bit more presentable. I'm sorry, this is spontaneous, like I said. But I just wanted to talk about The Drama really quickly, just some quick thoughts that I had. You know how they say not everything's a black issue or race issue? Well, that's a lie. Everything's a race issue, and there's race in everything. In every single discussion, you can extract race from everything because it's all around us. It has always been around us throughout history, and so there's a right to always bring it up. So today I want to talk about the black issue in The Drama. So in the 2026 film, The Drama, starring Zendaya Coleman, I think, yeah. She has the right to just be free of a last name, which is really awesome. That's better. Okay, I turned lights on, sorry about that. In the film starring Zendaya and Robert Pattinson, the characters Emma and Charlie are planning their wedding when the entire plot, or like most of the plot, begins when they're out with their friends having dinner, and someone asks the question like, what's the craziest thing you've ever done, or something you regret, something, and Emma reveals that when she was in school, when she was in primary school, she thought, conceived, and planned shooting at her school. And that's when the drama begins. So this kind of starts a lot of flashbacks from the main character, Emma. We have flashbacks of her as a mixed child walking in a predominantly white school. During the flashbacks, you can see pretty well that like a lot of the kids that she kind of says or implies that bully her are white girls around her. So we also have flashbacks of Emma in her house. She's like self-isolating herself in her room, and she's recording videos about the idea of school, when she's having like this kind of like after like finding the footage and the reason why she would have done the school. And in a lot of these videos, you'll notice there's no parent around. Her father, who's in the military, maybe he's on deployment or, you know, wherever, is not in the house, but her mother is also not present. And in the present day, we see her family or her parents in the wedding, and it is not ever shown or explained why her mother wasn't around in the house as well when she was kind of like having these episodes, or when she was self-isolating or having these disturbing behaviors. No one was around to catch that. In fact, it's even said that by her father during the wedding that he noticed that his rifle was missing, but he didn't say anything or talk to her about that because he was living in La La Land and he was being blind. And so was the mother. They were both being blind and overlooking their own child's very disturbing behavior that should have been caught way before this idea was going to be carried on. But that's, you know, the problem, and that's he's walking upstairs. I don't know why. Sorry. He just randomly decided, I just want to walk upstairs. I don't want to hear you talk anymore. But my main thing is that in this fictional tale, we see something that it happens in real life. To put it bluntly, it's a black father in La La Land and a white mother being blind to her own child's extreme changes, completely overlooking the behavior changes, completely not caring and being completely oblivious to your own child's behaviors and disturbing ideas. Something so serious and pretty obvious as Emma's like physical changes. You can see like she has like an emo look going, dressing all black, but you can see that she's isolating herself. So in the first flashbacks, we see like she's not going to any after school activities or hanging out with friends or anything like that, and she literally stole her father's rifle, and in that you can maybe get the idea that she was looking for attention, that she was hoping that someone would speak up, some parental figure would speak up and say, hey Emma, like what's going on? The rifle's missing. Like someone would have noticed something as big as that. No one did. Her father's blind, her mother's blind, both of her parents are just completely willfully blind and don't care about their children. They're okay with accepting that she's just going to do whatever she wants and she'll just kind of figure it out with no guidance. And that is what unfortunately happens in reality a lot of times. This kind of leads Emma into this white man mentality, feeling bullied, feeling isolated, doing some of the self-isolation herself because she kind of feels like maybe she's getting bullied from a subgroup of these white girls, but she doesn't really make the effort to find another group of students. Hopefully there was like one other black student. I saw in the background there was like one other mixed child when they were in the gym room. But she doesn't really make the effort. She's kind of like already in this mentality of I'm going to get revenge on all these people and I don't fit in and people hate me and blah blah, and kind of getting deeper into this dangerous thinking and dangerous cycle. And that happens in real life, right? Like white men have this mentality that life isn't going their way and they self-isolate and they feel entitled to a better life, and entitled to punishing others for their lives not going their way. She's entitled to punish others for her life not going the way that she wants, and she's idealizing ending classmates for her desire to fit in and feel like she's in control and seeking revenge. And again, this disturbing hate behavior is not caught by Emma's father and mother, and it is left to continue until there's a change, until by chance that there's another in a nearby mall by their school. And this is kind of told, Emma's character explains to her fiance at the time, Charlie, that this is the main reason why she didn't go through with her event, because she wanted the attention that this mall event already had. And so that's the main reason it's told why that she didn't go through with that. And so first of all, this idea, like you don't have to go snooping in your child's like room to find out these obvious indicators. Like she's recording videos of herself with the gun and like saying like why she's gonna do this event and stuff like that. But like there's so many other obvious indicators. The number one thing being like a whole entire rifle's missing. And I think that's really like a good thing. I guess like the main thing that the movie did show is like that this happens a lot. Like people purchase guns, people are gun holders, and they're just irresponsible is the lightest term I could say, with their gun ownership around children. But it's sad, it's crazy to think like, wow, that happened, especially like someone in the military. They would have like better training, and they would be told better and like know better. But no, the average person is an idiot, especially this man, who's kind of mimicking the average, I don't know, military gun holder, whatever. Okay, and so before kind of Emma self-isolates, so it's kind of like a progression in my mind that she's coming to this predominantly white school. She doesn't fit in, she doesn't see anyone that looks like her, and she feels like she's getting bullied, maybe because of her hair, or like she looks a little bit differently from others, and then she has a lack of black friends to learn acceptable behavior. Someone should have known that Emma was playing with her father's weapon. She was smoking. Like, where did she get those cigarettes from? Like, who was around her when she was going to the store? Did her parents know that she was out after school hours? Like, these are obvious things, and they were most likely patterns that she was doing. Also, when she was in the backyard, like, no one was around. Even if her parents weren't around, there was no one, like, in her house. It seemed like there was no grandmother, aunts, uncles, anyone. And it's like, with the idea that, like, okay, her father's in the military, they may have been deployed to this new area, like, obviously she's starting a new school, she's in a new area, like, there may not be other family members that live in this area, but, like, are there not other schools with more Black children for Emma to, like, see and feel comfortable with, and for her to fit in properly and not be bullied because, like, of her potentially being the only semi-Black person in her school? I don't, like, did her parents, like, have that thought process? Because the thing is, this is fictional, but this is actual, this happens way too much, that someone has a Black child and they don't do anything to make their they don't do anything to make their lives cohesive in their Blackness. They don't do anything to adequately show them people that look like them and enroll them in schools where they will feel a little bit more comfortable, that they don't have to go through not seeing anyone that looks like them, not having any cultural ideas around Blackness, and has obvious effects in, people in real life that do have that experience of not being around anyone that looks like them every single day. Like, you go to school for a long time. Like, even if you're switching schools for a year, if you're not around people that look like you or have some semblance to your culture, that's going to have an effect on you. It has an effect on white people that go to a predominantly Black school, especially Black girls that are going to a new school with no one that looks like them around. Appearance is a huge thing, especially in primary school, middle school, high school. Appearance, like not having anyone that has your same hair texture, that has your same clothing style, that listens to the same music you listen to. Like, appearance is a huge thing. And like, even like when I was in school, like hearing my girls be like, oh, I'm gonna go like to the beach to get a tan, like, it's just, everything is about, when you're that young, it has a detrimental effect if you feel like everyone around you every single day has no idea like what your house looks like, no idea what your cultural everyday life is, has no idea what your norms are. Like, it's not normal for me to be like, I'm gonna get a tan. Like, it's not normal for me to be like, I'm going to my uncle's beach house for the weekend. It's not normal for me to be like, my cousin got a DUI and they let him off. Like, that's not normal. And if you're around that situation and environment every single day, this is all you see, you're going to either assimilate or self-isolate. And unfortunately, in this tale, she does isolation extremely, and into this kind of, like I said, that white man mentality of like, my life isn't going my way, I'm entitled to this certain lifestyle, and there's people that are inhibiting me from this lifestyle, and so they deserve punishment, and I am entitled to punish them. So eloquently speaking, someone should have slapped some sense into Emma, but the blind father wasn't doing it, and her blind mother wasn't either. So Emma entertained this white mentality that she was entitled to this certain life, and that, you know, she was entitled to revenge. Why do Black people not have these events in schools, right? Because let's take Chicago, generalizing. Let's take Chicago. Like, the average person in Chirac, who has very much access to guns, very much access to weapons, to have a perfect life. The average person in Chirac is historically poor, and, you know, health disparities and all those things. You're in this environment, right? But we aren't raised on the stupid mentality that the world is mine and I'm entitled to anything I desire. And if anything doesn't go my way, I can ruin the lives of everyone else for the things that I want, right? We are built to be resilient. We are built to solve our own problems, essentially, because the world never has solved our problems for us. The Black issue of crack being in our neighborhoods was never rightly solved for us. We were criminalized for it. We were put to jail when crack entered our neighborhoods. We were never given the benefit of the doubt. We were never given a solution. We were criminalized for drug usage, whatever the case. And we were criminalized without the idea of rehabilitation, without the idea of, okay, you are doing this illegal substance, you're going to be criminalized for having this illegal substance, whatever, but here is your plan to get back on track, go to rehab, and be embedded into society again. Like, here are your resources. You're not given that. Black people were never given solutions to problems in our neighborhoods. We were annihilated to jail and just, that's it. That's your solution. That's what it was. But on the other hand, white issues such as fentanyl overdose, this is gently protected. And this is solved with, billboards around popular cities saying, protect people from fentanyl overdose, and, watch out for the signs, and showing, I don't know if you've seen those like little pills. I saw them a lot for Halloween. That was like the blue fentanyl pill. It was like, this much can kill you or something like that. This issue I saw with fentanyl was, the tone was a lot different, right? Like, people that were intentionally buying fentanyl and overdosing, the tone wasn't shown as them being criminals. It was like an issue of showing like, hey, protect people from, fentanyl overdose. The criminalization was a lot different, very like set apart from, Black drugs. And so Black people, we can't rely on problems being solved for us. We have to be emotionally restrained. We are taught to be resilient. We are taught to solve our own problems. We are taught that if we're being bullied, we have to handle that in a certain manner, because if we're not handling it properly, we will be criminalized for, or not emotionally restrained, will get punished for, being a victim. So we can't have this mentality like, I can go around punishing people, life isn't going my way, I'm entitled to anything I want, anything I desire, and I'm gonna punish people that I feel like are getting in my way. We don't have that mentality. We are taught differently. And so going back to Emma's upbringing, she's not instilled this. She's not instilled to have resilience and, handle her bullies in a certain way and understand that she can't have this mentality. Like, you can't. Like, you can't be so selfish. This is not the mentality that you can have. And so we, to this day, we continue to solve our own problems with issues that are so prevalent. So in my world, I get like newsletters from the Innocence Project, and are currently and always fighting to end the death penalty. Things like that have been around so long that never, I guess, make it up the stream so far into being taken over by governments. We have to like create our own organizations to fight these measures that always somehow affect Black people at an alarmingly larger rate than white people. So issues like that, like the Innocence Project being like funded, people that care about that issue, we solve our own problems. Like, we don't have, the idea of like, hey, I'm just gonna go out and pew pew someone.